The reason why they wanted to play with 5 at the back is because it stops these areas here where Arsenal are very dangerous. And if you notice, Saka had a quiet game, Trossard had a quiet game. Good games, but they didn't really hurt them in those spaces because they've got one and cover and sliding over, right? And if the ball was switched, because of this back 5 across here, they can do the same thing. And these wide areas become clogged up. So that was something that they worked on out of possession, which they were okay. In possession, they moved back to this 4-4-2, right? 2 center backs would split. And essentially what would happen, I'm not going to move them to this side so that it could be more clear on this side. But essentially what happened would be that these wingers here would come inside. Lookman came inside. Simeone would come inside, and they're trying to, by coming inside here as the midfielders, they're trying to leave these channels of space for these overlapping runs from Ruggeri on this side, and on this side, the other wing back here, right? And so this is how they try to attack. And when they had the small guys in Arsenal's end, they were trying to make combinations of play. Griezmann probably should have had a penalty. We'll talk about that in a little bit. And then after that, they would stay these guys home. They put Sorloth in, and they tried to go longer. They tried to play lower passes, so drop these guys lower, play a couple small passes. Arsenal would press them. They tried to go long into Sorloth, but it didn't really work. Now, how the goal happens, and we'll talk a little bit about Arsenal's movement. I thought this was really interesting, too. Atleti's back 5 here, right? And then they moved to a 5-4-1. That's where they were, okay? And Arsenal, what they did when they had possession, to build on Nigel's point earlier, is, and again, I'm not going to move them over here so that you can see what we're trying to talk about. This is the football here, fine. What Arsenal was doing when they had possession is they want to get their danger men on the football, right? They want to get these guys on the football. Saka and Trossard. These are their most fundamental players. They are a team that plays with the wingers, right? And Saka, arguably their best player when he's on and when he's fit. So what they did was, opposite of Atletico Madrid, what they did was instead of taking these guys inside so that these guys can use that channel, the fullbacks, they would take Calafiori, that was right here, and they would push him up into the midfield here. As these guys got dropped lower, Declan Rice and Lewis Skelly, like Nigel was mentioning, they would put Calafiori in the midfield here. And this would allow for guys from Atletico Madrid trying to account for these numbers in the midfield would allow for Trossard to come here. And again, on the flip side, Ben White would come in here, and it would allow Saka to stay here. And what happens when this happens, as you can see, is the width that Arsenal is able to create. And the reason why they're trying to create width is to stretch this back line out, right? Because the more they stretch, these gaps become a little bit bigger. And as they did that, Gyökeres, the center forward for Arsenal here, was with a good pass and a well-timed run, was able to get in behind, even the 5-man back line, as these lines started to open up. And then they're able to get these guys crashing inside the box. Eze was in the box as well, and they're able to get these guys here. Now, lastly, my last point here is Arsenal, when they had the football, like we're saying. So Gyökeres is in the middle. Eze was up there with him. Saka was wide. You'll see wide here, the 2 center midfielders. These were the Calafiori and Ben White tucked in. They're center backs, right? Normally you see this, right? Normally you see this. You see a center forward being marked by 2 center backs, right? So, and then a lot of the time you see one in front, one behind, right? Just as a safety valve. What ends up happening here with Arsenal is they squeeze them so bad into their own end. So this is Saliba and Gabriel were all the way up the pitch, at times about 35, 40 yards from their own, from the opponent's edge. And so you can see what happens here. Look how much space is here. This is what kind of the beauty is with Arsenal is. They can deal with that, no problem. They've got the guys that are fast enough, strong enough, smart enough to understand what the spaces are, and they're good enough in possession to be able to squeeze. And as you can see here, all 22 players, well, not the other goalkeepers, so 21 players, were in the opponent's end, squeezing Atletico Madrid and not letting them out, which made it difficult, which is why Arsenal had high possession numbers, especially in the first half.